they're on, and he needs to be given time, I guess. But from a Tottenham fan and from Jamie's point of view, he doesn't see any way out.
So you would keep him for now, but not necessarily till the end of the season, regardless.
But I feel like they're in this moment now that it's not in their remit to get rid of their managers as quickly as they did, because not only that are they getting rid of him, then who's the person that appoints him? There's got to be a domino effect. Who's put their hand up, put their head up above the water and said, Igor Tudor's the main man, because there's going to be a couple of P45s going about if he's to go.
OK, so, yeah, in terms of the people who appointed him in the first place, which I suppose is a problem they can't sort in the short term, but the head coach they can sort. If he was to go, who's the right manager to keep them up from now?
I don't know. We keep going on about these people. Every club that's in these situations only needs someone from within and someone that knows the football club and lift morale, and all the names go around. But does this show it? Tim Sherwood would go in there, Glenn Hoddle, Harry Redknapp, you'd get anyone in there to try and help him. But ultimately...
20 years since Glenn Hoddle managed a club and it was in the Championship.
In the Championship, yeah, but
20 years.
No, that's what I'm saying. But that's the names that's getting thrown about.
Sorry, I thought you were.
No. That's the names getting thrown about. Well, how about you look at for the last 2 seasons, Tottenham Hotspur have been poor, and the players, not just the manager and the coaching staff, the players have been poor and not achieving what everybody expects them to do. So maybe the players they've got in there, 90% of them are just not up to the standard that everybody expects Tottenham to be. Yes, they've got injuries, but the players that are fit and available at the moment maybe are just not good enough.
Right, OK, fit and available has been a problem, in fairness, for Tottenham this season and last season. But Chris Cowlin, Spurs fan, joins us now. Right, Chris, hello again. Were you expecting Tudor to go yesterday morning or maybe even Tuesday night?
Tom, Charlie, good morning to you. Yeah, my reaction was pretty much the same as Jamie O'Hara's. I got on an early flight from Madrid yesterday morning, and when I got off that flight, I fully expected that we would get that, decision that he would be going out the door. I don't agree with what Charlie said there, because when you look at the 4 games under Tudor, we are actually a worse team than what we were under Thomas Frank, and I don't think the players are playing for him at all. He's gone in there all guns blazing and just complained about everything, told the team how bad they are defensively in midfield and attack. And I think at the moment these players need a lift. They need their arm round them, and they need their egos massaging a little bit. You know what footballers are like. You know, you need to get the very best out of them at the moment, and Igor Tudor is definitely not doing that. And when you look at his record, 4 games, 4 defeats, and the manner of the defeats, you know, we've been well beaten in all 4 of the games. And in the last 6 games now, we've lost the whole lot. And that's the first time that's happened in our entire history since 1882. So Spurs are in a real problem at the moment. But as Charlie mentioned there about the owners, the board, who are making these decisions? Everyone in the football world can see that Spurs are a worse team now than what we were under Thomas Frank. We are in real big trouble. We've got 9 games left in the Premier League, 1 point above the relegation zone. Who on earth are making these decisions? Igor Tudor, for me, has to go.
Chris, I understand. Listen, I totally understand. That's from a passionate Spurs fan that go and watch the football club home and away and abroad. I totally understand that. And this is the biggest thing for Tottenham, who are making these decisions, right? But that is bringing the players in, that is bringing management staff in, that's bringing coaching staff in, that's going down to bringing physios in, because the injury record that Tottenham have had over these past 2 years have been nothing short of abysmal. The list is like an endless list of players, main players, good, big, important players for Tottenham Hotspur are not able to get on the pitch and perform for the football club. And that's why I feel like you've found yourself in a situation like this, yes. But do you think that the players that are fit and available at the moment, this is just their level? They are bottom half Premier League players, or do you really believe that they are top 6 Premier League players?
I wouldn't say top 6, Charlie, but I don't think that we are, you know, we're not...
Well, some of them are.
We're not a 16th club. You know, we shouldn't be 16th. We should be a lot better. And, you know, when I was at the game against Atletico Madrid, you can tell that some of these players are simply not listening to the manager. They don't believe in this manager. And when you see that clearly, that they don't believe in this manager, what he is trying to do, and the way that he dealt with the Kinski situation, I thought was absolutely terrible from a man management point of view. That was absolutely shocking, the way that he let him just walk down that tunnel and subbed him off after just 17 minutes. He made that decision. He should have owned it. But, you know, going back to your question, I think that, you know, Spurs, these players, they need to give a lot more. We know that they're capable of a lot more. But as you also said, you know, the board members, the owners, the manager, the players, we need to see more out of all of them because we are in a very dodgy position right now, only 1 point above the relegation zone.
He was asked after the game, are you still the right man for this job? And he said no comment. How much does that worry you?
It worries me a lot, Tom. I don't think that he likes the media. He certainly don't want to engage in the media. I don't know how he got this job, actually. It certainly wasn't with his charisma because, you know, this guy is pretty rude. You know, I sat behind the dugout the other night and the way that he just speaks to his staff, shouting and hollering at them, I can't see this working at all, and it really does worry me with the remaining 9 fixtures. You know, we've got 27 points to play for. You know, where are the next points coming from? Because when you look at all of our fixtures, there's no easy game in the Premier League. And like I said earlier, you know, the 4 games we've been well beaten. 4-1 against Arsenal, 2-1 against Fulham. That should have been a lot more. 3-1 against Palace. And I think that the reality really hit home amongst all of the Spurs fans of this is a real reality of us being relegated because where are the performances coming from? Where are the results coming from? These players are shot of confidence. And that performance the other night, 5-2 against Atletico Madrid. You know, Spurs at the moment are such an easy game. They're such an easy opponent because we're so easy to play against. And, you know, we needed a manager to come in to replace Thomas Frank to make us difficult to play against and difficult to beat.
And everything you go off there, Chris, just on that about the results, and you go to Anfield on Sunday.
Yeah.
And what's your expectations there? For all the players, the management staff, the fans, everyone's confidence are real low, and then you're going to Anfield on Sunday. What's your expectation going into that game?
Charlie, I'm sure that you had difficult times at Anfield as well when you played, but you know, Spurs have won twice there at Anfield in the last 40 years, twice in Premier League history. We know that that's a very, very difficult place to go. You know, of course, no Van de Ven either, and you know, Spurs are going to have a difficult time at Anfield, and yeah, I'm not looking forward to it, to be honest.
Well, let's go through these fixtures then, because you were saying you don't know where your next points are going to come from. All right, I know you've said it's tough against Liverpool. Go through those Premier League games and tell us what you're going to do in each one, win, lose or draws.
Well, the thing is, Tom, it's very difficult to predict because we don't know what Spurs are going to turn up and what the Spurs team we've seen so far in these performances under Tudor haven't been good enough. But if we lose at Anfield on Sunday, do you really want a manager going into that Nottingham Forest game, that such crunch game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? Tudor, 5 games, 5 defeats. Do you really have confidence that Tudor is going to go into that Nottingham Forest game and get a result? I don't.
No, but Chris...
And I tell you what, the Spurs fans don't have any confidence in him.
No, Chris, but picking up on you, where you couldn't go through them fixtures, etc., and you say you don't know what Spurs team's going to turn up. When was the last time Spurs played a solid 90 minutes, or when did they play a back-to-back good performances? How long are we going back now? Because I feel like we've had this conversation for like 2 years over Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, that's a very good conversation. And who appointed Thomas Frank? Why did they think that Thomas Frank was the right man? And most importantly...
I did think he was the right man, by the way. I can't rewrite history. I thought Thomas Frank was perfect. It just hasn't worked out. So I don't think that was a ridiculous appointment.
OK, but most importantly, Tom, why on earth give him all of that time? You know, you could see clearly it wasn't working. You could see clearly that we weren't going in the right direction. They should have made that sacking a lot...
Would you prefer to still have him now than Igor Tudor?
Thomas Frank had to go. But
would you prefer to have Ange still in charge, Chris?
Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Yeah, I think that anyone right now... Do you know what? I never, ever thought I'd be saying this as a Spurs fan, but Spurs need someone like Sean Dyche right now to get us out of this trouble.
But Jamie O'Hara said it yesterday, and yeah. Charlie, you're a big fan of Sean Dyche as well. If Sean Dyche's in charge of that home game against his old club, Nottingham Forest... but let's be very clear. But let's be very clear, Chris. He ain't coming in and rubbing anyone's ego, mate. Let's be very clear. He's not doing that.
But he knows how to get results. He knows how to make a team difficult to beat in the Premier League. Of course, he has that Premier League experience as well. And like I said, I didn't ever think that I'd be saying Sean Dyche needs to be managing Spurs. But from now until the end of the season, we are in such a desperate situation and it calls for, you know, desperate measures. But going back to your question about where are the wins coming from, I don't know about the Sunderland away one, Tom. I don't know whether I mentioned that to you, but, you know, Spurs ought to be all looking at the Wolves away game, the Leeds home game and the Nottingham Forest home game. these are absolutely crunch games. But like I said before on this show, when you look at the likes of West Ham, when you look at Nottingham Forest, even Wolves, you know, the amount of grit and passion that they are putting into games right now, and they're getting results. And, you know, we're in the middle of March, and Spurs are the only team in the Premier League not to have won a game in this calendar year. So it is very, very worrying times right now.
Yeah, worrying time. Do you think that Tudor will still be in charge on the last game, well, you know, when the season ends? Do you think he'll make it to the end of the season, and do you think he'll stay up?
Tom, I don't even want him in charge for the Liverpool game.
But do you think he will be?
I hope not. I hope not. I hope the Spurs make that change before the Nottingham Forest game, because, like I said, you can't go into that Nottingham Forest game 5 defeats out of 5 games, and, you know, the morale is just so low as well, and these players need a lift. And do I think we'll be relegated at this current time with these performances? Yes, I do. We need a miracle.
Good honesty, Chris. That is good honesty. That's good.
Well, I'm not going to sit here and play it up, because I'm not going to give false hope or false positivity. What we've seen in recent weeks, this is not good enough. The board either need to say, look, we are going to invest this amount of money, or they need to sell. The owners need to sell, because we cannot be in this position again. You know, yes, 22 league defeats last year. Yes, we won the Europa League last season. It turned out to be a success by winning the Europa League. But the league form was not good enough at all. And we have gone round in circles with so many different managers. Surely the board and the owners have to realise, look, we can't be in this position either. You know, being so close to relegation and being in this position, it's awful. It's awful as a Spurs fan right now. We're all having sleepless nights.
Yeah, Tottenham fans really not happy at the moment. Chris, appreciate your time.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Earlier on, remember, we asked